You said no desk, no cue cards,
Yes.
and no
Cue
monologue.
cards.
I mean, can you talk about
You know
your?
what? It's not. It'll be stand-up. It'll be more comedy. I don't know if monologue sounds like a dissertation. I don't want it to look like it's like the jokes are supposed to be there. I mean, I kind of like it to look like it's just a bit of what's going on in the news, a little bit of political, some family stuff, some stuff that's edgier, taking on people who seem to be not on the right side of the law, you say, and then mix it up so it just looks a little more natural than just. I'm not going to stand on just one spot for 8 minutes and tell jokes. That's not me.
And you talked about that if you have a guest that's particularly good, you might just move them to the
Yeah,
front and just start with
I mean,
that.
I don't see that if you have Prince, why he'd go last. I mean, you put him first. I mean, that, especially if he talks, so, with great guests or two people, I'm doing this movie Valentines Day with Gary Marshall, and everybody's in it. Julia Roberts, Jessica Biel, Jessica Alba. You'd bring Gary on and Ashton Kutcher at the same time, and have more than one person sitting down, so it's a little less formal. Formal is formal, man. Formal always look formal, so it's hard to make formal look cool other than just the energy that you bring to something that's like that. So, yeah, I mean, with commercials, it's 40-some minutes, man, out of the day. I mean, you can't have fun for 42 minutes a day. There's just something wrong.
There's a certain pressure that goes along with doing a show like this.
Yeah.
What's your sort of thought on that?
Well, I think the pressure comes from the numbers, right? Pressure comes from ratings. I'm fortunate already to be known as a stand-up and not an unknown entity in comedy or on TV. I mean, those numbers for the sitcom are huge, man. And that's between women and men and kids and college students. I mean, that's everybody. So having that in the bank relieves a little bit of the pressure, but also having a great writing staff and a great director and the guys who lit it, that that when you go to work, that everybody there is there for you, and you have a really good shot at knocking it out of the park 4 nights a week.
And there's also the whole issue of booking. The booking wars can get pretty intense.
Yes.
Any concern about that?
What we started to do now is starting to reach out to some publicists, but I don't think it's going to be like it was when the transitions between Letterman and Leno and that thing. If you couldn't do one, you can't do the other. There's so many different shows now, and I think the artist is freer, but there are movie companies involved and attached. But it's hard to say sitting in here in July what it's going to be like in November. But I expect that the people that I hire will reach out, and I'll reach out, and we'll try to. And I know a lot of the actors and the actresses already, so. I guess everybody will know if I eventually end up having a problem.
And how do you think Leno's going to do once he moves to 10 p.m.?
It's a bit of a tough. It's a bit tough. I mean, there hasn't been a late night, early evening, 10 o'clock kind of thing. Merv Griffin was, I think, a little bit earlier. That worked. Mm-hmm. But to be on NBC and to reinvent your show because the show that you left is on at 11:30. I think is a bit tricky for Jay Leno. I think that's the one thing that. But he's a talented guy, and look, he's the king of late night, man. So
does all this change that's happening, this fall in terms of late night? Do you think that helps you potentially?
Well, I think it helps me being at 11. I think it helps that the show looks like it moves faster, that it doesn't look as stilted or as rigid. It looks more inclusive. And look, you have Barack Obama do your opening piece. I mean, that's validation from as high as it gets. So, I expect that it's not going to be a cakewalk, but we'll have to see. It's just going to be fun.